What's up? It's your boy Sean P back again with another edition of Hip Hop Roundtable Review. So tonight we are going to continue with the Drake extravaganza, the Iceman. Um, what should I call it? I can't call it a rollout anymore, but the Iceman era is officially here in the last 2 weeks. We just did a video with my esteemed colleagues, Anson and Reese, and we talked about how Drake did some astronomical numbers, breaking records for Michael Jackson and Jay-Z, selling over 460,000 in the first week, what it all mean, et cetera, et cetera. Go check that video out. But bringing it back to Jay-Z, after he broke Jay-Z's record of #1 albums. I've seen online and I've seen in the hip hop media community an interesting debate come up now. Last year, the big debate was Kendrick versus Drake. Kendrick versus Drake, of course, with the battle, Not Like Us versus Family Matters, maybe the most epic hip hop battle of all time. But now the narrative is starting to change a little bit. And now it doesn't seem to be so much about Kendrick Lamar, but against Drake against his other ops. And just getting a sense from the Nation of Drake and his stand base, and of course the shots that Drake took on Jay-Z on the album, you could see there's a little bit of energy for coming for Jay-Z. Drake dissing Jay-Z, and to me, I've always thought that Drake fan base, that is really a YMCMB fan base, has always had animosity for Jay-Z. Of course, with Nicki Minaj and her smear campaign against Jay-Z. Even though now Nicki is a spokesperson for the Republican MAGA party, but that's another story for another day. But anyway, I digress. Drake versus Jay-Z is getting a lot of traction on the net. You're seeing a lot of the comparisons of the two, especially when it comes to numbers. You know what I mean? Because Drake has passed Jay-Z's numbers by, as far as records sold, hits on what have you. I saw one post today, and I can't believe I actually saw this. He said, if Jay-Z really has classics, how come none of his albums or his first albums, Reasonable Doubt, if Reasonable Doubt is such a classic, how come it's not in the Billboard Top 200? And I said to myself, now see, this is what the problem with the streaming era, you know what I mean? And problem with hip hop fans that were born after 2000, that's not even how record sales are really derived, and Jay-Z had to get his record sales much harder than Drake does. You know what I mean? Drake only sold 13,000 copies of pure sales, and they're not even sales in the CD store. They're on iTunes. You know what I mean? Jay-Z had to sell 1 million, 2 million. I think Reasonable Doubt, I want to say, sold over 2 million records. He had to do it, in the stores, and everybody had to buy those albums. They weren't just streaming songs, but they, of course, the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're trying to miscontextualize, and compare apples to watermelons when it comes to the record sales of when Jay-Z was in his prime towards Drake. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about this, the Drake versus Jay-Z, beef battle, and could that be the next big battle coming into hip hop? You know what I mean? This summer. So we're going to take a look at a few videos. We're going to talk a look first at Ray Daniels. Shout out to Ray Daniels in his podcast. Definitely go check that out. And a video I've been sitting on for a little bit since Iceman dropped on Joe Budden's podcast, where they kind of had a little back and forth about, Jay-Z and Drake, or Jay-Z versus Drake, and how they actually compete. So we're going to stop and take a look at that. So we want to take a look first at this Ray Daniels theory, and the theory that Jay-Z could come back this summer to actually battle Drake. So let's take a look at that first. Let's do that.
Drake dissed. He dissed
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. 3 records for Jay-Z, right? You know what I'm saying? So he said, he's going to skip the dinner and take the $500K. He ain't learned nothing from none of y'all. He said, y'all go ask Jay for second opinions. He said, we know how the OGs rocking, my nigga, the jig is up. So is Hov going to come out and do a freestyle at Yankee Stadium? Like what are we expecting?
Side note, why does homie got a blanket on? You a grown ass, 35, 40-year-old man? I assume this guy's over 30. He's got to be over 30. Why you got a full blanket on, bro? Like, seriously, is that a blanket or a Snuggie? Like, what the hell you got on, man? I don't know, man. Anyway, back to the content.
He's not going to adjust.
What is Hov going to do?
I think Jay-Z, I'm about to make a wild prediction. I think Jay-Z is about to make an album, and I think we're going to see Jay-Z and Drake go head to head. And it made me think of something. I got to ask both of y'all a question. Who brags better? I feel like Jay-Z was always the king of bragging, right? He was always the king of saying shit that just made everyone feel small, right? Like, I think Drake has taken the role of bragging the best. Like, this album makes, like, Rick Ross is out here doing press for this album like it's a diss album against him. Yeah, like Ross is out here doing press for this album like it's on.
I'll stop it there for a minute. And Rick Ross is definitely doing press, promoting his album, definitely off of the strength of what Drake was saying and dissing him on Iceman. But anyway, I want to address that braggadocio comment with Drake and Jay-Z. The reason why Drake will never have the level of Jay-Z swag is because Jay-Z's is a lot more believable. You know what I mean? He really was in the streets. He really was a street man that became a self-made billionaire. You know what I mean? We seen him do it. We grew up with him, and he's a mature multi-billionaire businessman now. We've seen him really Jay-Z was the one that started from the bottom. See, Drake, he's got swag, but a lot of it's been exposed as being manufactured, man. The kid was a child actor. You know what I mean? He was a child actor on Degrassi. Never really grew up in the streets, never really grew up in the hood, never really had to grind for anything. I mean, he just went to auditions when he was a kid. And he picked up the swag from a lot of the American rappers, you know what I mean? Picked up a lot of swag from, rolling with Jay Prince, Houston, Wayne and Baby and them. And he even picked up swag from Jay-Z. You know what I mean? He worked with Jay-Z on 3-4 projects. So to me, to say, he's one of the best braggers out there. He's got some swag to him. He got some bragging skills, but he don't got that believable demeanor. You know what I mean? and he just has a demeanor that comes off as fake and soft. Like Jay has always been real, and you never had to question that, because he was in the streets and he came up and became arguably the greatest rapper of all time. So yeah, so most definitely, I think I don't agree with Ray Daniels on that. I don't think. I mean, Drake has swag, but it's not Hove swag. That's a different level of swag, my God. That's all I gotta say.
I just think he did. I just think what Drake did was smart. What's good, y'all? Listen, you can be a member of my YouTube community. It's only $5. You can sign up for our member. Come join us. That's a reason to stay. Here's what Drake did. Here's what I think he did. He dropped an album. He dropped 3. You know what he learned from? Bear with me. When he was in the middle of the battle with Kendrick, up until that point, it was always one song you, one song me. Mm-hmm. And the reason why Kendrick beat him so obviously,
it's actually a good point. I actually want to follow up on this. It's pretty good
compared to other battles, was because when Kendrick dropped one record, he dropped another. He dropped the record Meet the Grams and Not Like Us the same night. So it's like, I think Drake sat on it and was like, yo, I got to give everybody 6 months worth of things to respond to. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes with another album in the next 6 to 9 months. Just because he knows what's happening right. It's almost like, I'm going to start the war and then I'm going to go win. Rather than the war started me, I stayed and fought the war. Everybody else went and ran up the check. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here quiet. Now he's like, I'm going to run up the check. I'm going to talk crazy about all of y'all. All of y'all. Like I said, didn't I say last week? He needs to diss everybody.
Well, he did.
He did.
I think that's an interesting point they bring up. Will Drake drop another album in the next 6 to 9 months, or an album by the end of this year? Me even see it on the Joe Budden's podcast that we're going to see in a minute, but people are predicting he may drop again this summer. But I think to an extent, and I want to give Drake some props for this, I think he strategically weighted this out the right way, because I did some homework. I did some research looking at the Billboard Hot 100, you know what I mean? And there are literally no big name rappers out this summer that are coming out really this summer, you know what I mean? I think Future may drop. That's about it. J. Cole, he's already certified gold. He already went earlier this year. Kanye actually went earlier this year, outside of that, you have really a lot of legacy acts that might drop this summer. You know what I mean? You got Rick Ross, who I don't think he's going to make too much of a dent mainstream wise. T.I. might make a little bit of noise because there is there's some energy around his comeback with the Pharrell records that he's put out. Even the 50 back and forth gave him a little bit of buzz, you know what I mean? But outside of that, Drake really has a summer to himself. And I've listened to Janice SDFU and Shebang again, and I'm like, you know what? I see it now. And I got to be honest, like, those songs are certified bangers, I might have downplayed it a little bit before, like on our review, but those songs are going to rock the whole summer. And that's not to mention any of the songs that like WNBA or True Bestie that a lot of the females like Drake. He may have the summer to himself, which makes the Jay-Z thing interesting, which I'm going to get back to a little bit. But I think Drake, I think Drake last year, and see, this is the thing, and people don't talk about this. Drake actually had 3 attempts to put out Iceman. He wanted to put it out summer of 24, but there's no way he could fight the momentum of Not Like Us, and he got embarrassed so bad that he tried to put out the 100 Gigs project. It just wasn't happening. You know what I mean? And nobody was feeling that. So then he tried to gear up again last summer and still didn't get the energy from it. I mean, he dropped What Did I Miss? That made a little bit of noise, and then it just dropped like a rock. And the other two singles people forgot about, to the point where Which One actually re-entered the Hot 100. I think he's at number 70 something now, off of the strength of this rollout. You know what I mean? But I think last year, again, he couldn't match the energy of the GNX tour, Luther, Not Like Us. Like, Kendrick was just going too strong. But now he waited this out. He was supposed to go really earlier this year, but he didn't want to go up against Cole. So he waited this out to the summer and saw that nobody was really dropping. And when you look at the Billboard Hot 100, there's nobody there. I mean, literally, it's Don Toliver. You could name the number of rappers there on one hand. It's Don Toliver, T.I., and I think Big X the Plug. I don't even know if there are any other rappers on there. Oh, yeah, DaBaby's on there. And Drake. So he has the lane all to himself. So we'll get back to it. Even though I talked, we'll get back to what Ray Daniels is saying.
Who else he had on there?
I've been waiting to ask you about this because I feel like you're one of the best people to ask about this. So
Let's
we know the record, Janice STFU, Beach Me, Baby, that one Timbaland was going crazy about, right? Allegedly, they're saying that the Janice he's talking about is Janice, is it Jose? Janice Jose, Jose, head of brand partnerships at Universal. So do we let's start here. First off, do we think it's true that Drake dropped these 3 albums to fulfill his contract and he may allegedly have over $1 billion in like some sort of equity deal on the table?
Well, let me say this. The way the business goes, you have to have an album cycle, right? So you have a 9-month, 12-month, 18-month album cycle. The lowest album cycle I ever seen in a negotiation was when we did Chopper's deal, NLE Chopper, and we gave him a 9-month window, right? So like, you got to look at it like how much of a window did Drake have? I don't know if it's in his contract legally where he can just say, I want to drop 3 albums at my leisure. I don't know. It probably is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I personally have never seen it, but I also personally have never had an artist at Drake's level to know the.
Yeah, well, I don't believe it. I don't believe that. What I think is those projects they were sitting on for a while. I think those projects were done. I think he did all of that material within the last 2 years. I mean, because that's usually a Drake, a typical Drake workload full of music in 2 years. He just couldn't put it out because he was just ice cold. And I think, of course, he did this with consent from UMG. They saw this business strategy and they said, look, we're just going to put it all out because we're going to own the summer. There's nobody here out to compete with you. You know what I mean? Unless Kendrick Ghost drops, who else is going to come out? J. Cole already came out and, he's already certified gold going to like 700,000. So, I just think it was that. I don't even know if he got out of his deal yet. I still have to get confirmation on that. I don't believe he got out of the deal. And who knows? UMG might sign him again. You don't know really what's going on until we finally hear he's either independent or he has a new deal, which has not been confirmed yet.
Kind of deals that he gets. So I'm not sure. I will wait on that. I will wait before we start celebrating him being free. I will wait on that.
That's exactly right. I'm with Ray Daniels on that because I don't believe the confirmation.
But I think he figured out the game. I think he figured out I think they ambushed him. And when they ambushed him, it took him 2 years. Like I famously said on the Danza project that Drake is done. And I'm saying it again. I think Drake is done. I think he's a different person. I don't think he cares about the person he used to be. I think something happens to you when the world turns against you. It turns you cold. Ice, right?
Yeah.
It turns you cold. And I think when he saw the world turn against him, like when you listen to the album, like he even said it like, first of all, he grew up. He grew up on his album, right? He tells you his story, what he's dealing with, how he raised. The first line is, I'm raising my mother while also treating my son's grandfather like a big brother. Like he's telling you what he's going through. I love where he's at right now. And I think that hip hop needs this. Like I compare Drake's run to LeBron's run. Like they was around the same. It was like I came up in the history in hip hop where you was trying to take each other out. Like
Drake has always had an eerie LeBron sports comparison. I've seen that before, like Jay-Z being the Jordan, Drake being the LeBron. I've heard that comparison before. It's an interesting dynamic.
Murder Inc. didn't do records with Rockefeller. Like Jay and Ja might do a record, but like the Minions, Beanie Siegel ain't doing a record with Cadillac Ty or none. It's like, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? So I come from a competitive era, and Drake, when he came in and entered the friend era where everybody was everybody's brother, and that's my brother, and that's my brother. And I feel like we watched the celebrities like basically like run it up, being friends. And I think the fans got bored with it. And then watching Drake and Kendrick go at it, the fans were excited. Hip hop was still around. It was just bored. It's just like, man, like what's the it's almost like hip hop had to become a fight now. Like, what's the fight? Who's talking about who? Like high school. And now we're in that era. So for me, I look at Drake. I think that Drake is going to enter the new era of hip hop being competitive. He's going to be a competitor, and I think once he sets that tone, because the stars set the tone. That's what people don't acknowledge. When Justin Timberlake and Timbaland drop,
It's actually a good point he's making.
"Sexy Back, Y'all," no one ever heard a record like that. Like that shit changed pop radio. It changed the sound, because the only person that can change the sound in the direction of pop music is the biggest artist. I think Drake did it. I think.
All right, I'll end that one there. I kind of agree with Ray Daniels on that. I think Drake definitely has a different energy about him now. Now I still stand on Iceman being a mid project, but this album's going to have a little bit of legs this summer, especially with nobody coming out. And it's going to be interesting as to what they're talking about, where, could Jay-Z and Drake clash this summer? Now, here's what's really going to happen. Jay is dropping, well, he's not going to drop, but Jay's going to perform at Roots Picnic this weekend. On May 30th. I think it's Saturday he performs. And this is Jay's return to the stage. This is Jay's return to hip hop. You know what I mean? Of course, he's got the Yankee Stadium concerts coming up in July for the Blueprint and Yankee Stadium, Blueprint and Reasonable Doubt commemoration concerts going on. So Jay's going to have an energy about him. And again, nobody's out this summer. Nobody's making any noise outside of really Drake. You know what I mean? Nobody's making any noise. And there's going to be a clamor for Jay to come with some new music. Me personally, I think he's going to be on the next DJ Khaled project. Him and Khaled are very tight. That was Jay's last really big record with God Did that I think it won a Grammy, if I'm not correct. I could see Jay coming back with some new music this summer. Now, everybody is going and saying, well, Jay just came out where he just kind of denounced the Drake and Kendrick beef. and said they went too far, and even referenced his battle with Nas going too far, and said that, you know, he doesn't know if there's a place for beef in rap culture, you know what I mean, anymore. However, that's, you know, before Drake took shots at him on Iceman. And I listened to them shots, you know, they were pretty direct. You knew who they was talking about. You know, I think the jig is up line is kind of corny or whatever. And the one thing I know about Jay hears everything and he will respond. Now, he responds subliminally, but he responds subliminally in a real slick way, to the point where he will literally end you with one line. He's got that power. Like that shit about he ended Cameron with one line. That's the truth, because after Dig a Hole, Cameron was never the same. Cameron was on his way to being a podcaster. You know what I mean? So I could absolutely see Jay coming back with some new music and responding to Drake. I could even see him doing a freestyle at one of the concerts, which is going to be a big stage, a very big stage, and hip hop media is going to really cover that concert with, you know, there's going to be a lot of energy around that concert. Let's just say that, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see if even Jay comes out with a freestyle and addresses Drake. But I think Jay said that, you know, holistically about, you know, well, overall, I don't think for the game, that kind of mudslinging and social media banter back and forth is really healthy. But the thing about it is, Jay's still an MC at heart. And I think Jay still has energy for all of his detractors. He also said in that interview, you know, last year was about defense. This year we're going on offense. And Jay's calculated. He doesn't say things like that without there really being some meaning behind it. That meant something. That means he's coming with something aggressive soon. So I could see that. I could see Drake doing a concert of his own, his version of the pop out or his version of the Yankee Stadium commemoration concert. Like it could be the Iceman celebration. I could see Drake getting ready to go on tour. And I think he's going to continue this energy, this aggressive energy. And I don't think Drake is done. Everybody's saying Drake is gonna just get everything off his chest and he's venting on his album. No, I think he's gonna continue to talk about Kendrick, and I think he's gonna continue to talk about Jay-Z. I think there's more to come. So I absolutely think it could go down this summer, and that's an interesting debate because really, I think the question is, you know, is Drake really on that GOAT tier level of Jay-Z? You know what I mean? Is he really on that level of Hov now? And we're going to take a look at the Joe Budden podcast as they debate that. Now, this was from the weekend that Iceman dropped. I think this was when they were doing their official review. But they had a very interesting conversation about Jay-Z versus Drake. And we'll see what they got to say. We'll come back after. And some
dominance. Like before, he alluded to being the best, GOAT talk. Now he's saying, I'm the best. And who is the best considered? Jay-Z. Remember in our interview that we did a couple of years ago, I asked him about, you know, the shots that you and Jay sent. And he said it's never crossed the line because there's a mutual respect between both of them. So I think this is kind of lying in that same vein.
Oh no, I don't think this is crossed. I think some mutual respect has been lost. The line from a disrespectful
but what can Jay-Z do to Drake's career at this point? They're sitting at the same table.
I think they're not sitting at the same table. They're not sitting at the same table.
What do you mean?
If you're Drake, you think y'all are. Actually, let me tell you something. If you Drake, you might think nigga, from a total musical standpoint only, you not at my table.
And that's where you lose already. That's how you know we not sit at the same table. Because why are you?
Now I gotta come back to that. You know what I mean? Of course, Ish, he's their version of a Drake stan on that podcast because he never has anything critical to say about Drake. Is always taking up for him. But what I'll say to that is, are they at the same table? I don't think it's even close with Jay-Z because the difference is that Jay-Z makes timeless music. You know what I mean? His music is timeless. Drake makes microwave music and he has timeless hits, but a lot of his timeless music is not hip hop. It's R&B and pop records. You know what I mean? So, but I could see what they're saying as Drake, in his eyes, he thinks he's done more for music than Jay-Z has because he doesn't recognize Jay's legacy as being what he has. And another thing too, Drake's fan base, they are part of the microwave era. They don't really care about timeless music. They just care how many bops you put out. You know what I mean? So they're going to stand behind Drake. And I think it's a clash of hip hop eras, a clash of hip hop ideologies, because, you know, our generation of millennials, you want to call Gen X, a little bit of Gen Z, they believe in classic albums, in lyrics, in timeless songs, in winning accolades, awards, also in getting critical acclaim. The younger generation, they just care about streams. Are you on Billboard? Do you make TikTok bops? Do you make bops on the radio in the club? You know what I mean? And it's two different ways of viewing hip hop, which makes the contrast very interesting. And when you have a fan base and a stan base that backs you up like that, Drake absolutely could think that he's at the same table of Hov or better than him, even though I totally don't agree with it. I mean, we'll get to it later anyway, but let's carry on.
We're not talking music. Hov is at I'm at the table with the bosses.
True. And you sitting here
suing a label.
You suing
You're not at my table.
But if we're talking about music-wise, Jay-Z and Drake are kind of like eye to eye.
Yeah, but Drake's. I don't think they are. But
yes, they are.
Actually, they are. But Drake's.
I don't think they. I think Drake is musically right now, especially Drake is not eye to eye with Jay-Z. He's way above Jay-Z.
He's above Jay-Z.
In terms of sales, he is way above Jay-Z.
I think you mean in terms of status.
Right? As far as status, like
he's Iceman.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I gotta stop it there because end of the day, man, like let's really look at this. You know what I mean? As far as musically, them being on the same level, because I totally disagree with that. First of all, if you really want to chalk it up, Jay-Z to me, next to Nas, has the most complete catalog of all time. You know what I mean? Now, if you want to go and argue, we'll get to the sales part, but you just look at I'll say impeccable catalog he's had of, I would say, a legitimate 4 classic albums. I mean, you got to go to Reasonable Doubt. You got to go to Blueprint. You got to go to Black Album. Some say American Gangster, maybe classic. Some people, like I say Volume 2, because I think that was Jay's most commercially appealing album. You know what I mean? But Drake, outside of timeless albums, outside of Take Care, maybe Nothing Was the Same. He doesn't have anything, you know, album for album, classic to classic to go with that, you know. Jay's B cut, B level music, his B level projects, like if you want to call it American Gangster, if you want to say Watch the Throne, another one. If you want to say Volume 1, those albums ring off and are more timeless than Drake's B level stuff. Like if you're putting out All for the Dog, Certified Lover Boy, those albums are forgettable. Dark Lane demo tapes, forgettable. You know what I mean? Views may stand out because of the sales, but outside of that, I mean, even Drake's first one, I mean, matchup Thank Me Later against Volume 1, Volume 1 would wash that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, catalog-wise, it's not even close. I mean, you want to talk about Drake got the hits and he makes the bops. I could say that, but Jay-Z got way more timeless bops because they are still playing Big Pimpin' in the club. They're still playing Can I Get a What with Ja Rule? I heard that overseas, believe it or not. You know what I mean? They're still playing Money Cash Hoes in the club. They're still playing Give It To Me. They're still, even though it's not Jay-Z's song, but It's the Best of Me remix with Maya. They still play those songs in the club. They still play those songs in a regular rotation on the radio. You know, half of Drake's songs, like, are just, you forget about. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even remember, like, the best singles off of Certified Lover Boy. You know what I mean? Like, I think the I'm Too Sexy single is maybe it, but they rarely play that these days. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you go catalog, you go singles, you go lyrics. Well, Drake's a little bit disqualified because, I mean, he's had so much help with his lyrics. Jay-Z's penned his own shit. I don't think Drake's a good lyricist, but he's not a great lyricist and doesn't have the depth in the songwriting. I mean, Jay-Z is, you know, the greatest songwriter of all time, according to the New York Times. You know what I mean? Or last 30 years. So it's like, I don't think musically it's not even close. The only thing it's close at is if you want to go to the record sales. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll let them go on, but I'll explain to you why the record sales, that's a disqualification. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Hey, so I'm gonna let y'all just say every wild thing y'all can.
No.
But
Go ahead.
Listen, whether he's right or he's wrong, right? Whether he's right or he's wrong. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Drake is right to feel that way, even if he is wrong by popular opinion. He's the only nigga that can say y'all did shit you never did and be right.
But let me ask you something. But I don't think his beef. I don't think his beef is about artist to artist. I think so. Again, he's saying Hov is behind. Yeah, he's saying some other shit. He says it explicitly.
That's such a corny. You know what? I get tired of those arguments. Well, you got the right to feel that way. So because he could feel that way, I'm kind of right. I hate people that debate that way. Like, you can't tell Drake how to feel. So who the fuck cares how he feels if he feels he's better than or 10 times what Hov is? The consensus opinion is not. The consensus opinion is Jay-Z is still the GOAT, no matter what you want to say. And if you really want to talk about it, Drake is not the businessman Jay-Z is. You could argue, I mean, it remains to be seen about what he's doing and getting a new deal and getting $1 billion deal, which I think is a bunch of horse shit. Drake is a shitty businessman, yo. He's a shitty businessman because he signed a baby, and when he signed a baby in Cash Money, he was signing like 10 people. He got out of that and signed a $400 million deal that you're not even satisfied with, and you're begging, and I mean begging to get out of, which UMG owns all your masters. So don't even compare yourself as a businessman to Jay-Z that first of all, owns all his masters. And on top of that, he created a whole new empire on Roc Nation. You know what I mean? After he was an executive at Def Jam and did everything you possibly could do over at Def Jam. So they're not even close as far as businessmen, and don't even bring up the artists that they've influenced. Jay-Z, I mean, Kanye, Rihanna. He really birthed Rick Ross. He birthed Jeezy, because when he was the executive over at Def Jam, he's the one that blew them up. You know what I mean? J. Cole, he was influenced getting him on Roc Nation. I mean, the list goes on. You know what I mean? As the people that Jay-Z, the mega stars Jay-Z is influenced and made billionaires, like Rihanna. So who has Drake put on and developed that has been on that level? So don't even talk about the business aspect of it.
Bro, listen, when Control dropped and niggas wanted to rap and do verses and respond back to Kendrick on Control, Fab was gonna diss him on the Control record. Whoever made the call to Hov to say, yo, can you stop that? Like, it's shit like that can happen. It's higher ups that are on the phone with Hov, or Hov is on the phone with y'all running plays behind the scenes with each other. And Drake is aware of this. That's why he said they all came together and tried to.
And that is the truth, because Jay-Z right now is at the table with Lucien. He's at the table with Lucien Grange. He's not sitting with Drake, Drake is beneath Lucien Grange. He's trying to get to that level. He's not on that level. And I mean, he is up there with the execs. So I totally disagree that Drake can feel he's at Jay-Z's level, but he's not even close, in my opinion.
In my run.
But do we know that, or is that just speculation?
It could be. It could be.
I don't know.
He might be privy to more information than we are.
I'm sure that he is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That nigga Jay-Z is literally sitting back like the Godfather, my nigga.
But you think Jay-Z's sitting back?
Well, we heard what Hov just told Frazier.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, I'm Jay-Z.
Yeah, like,
so
I ain't think about this, boy.
Yeah, I'm not even. What are we talking about with this?
But I think Drake.
All right, but let's say that what Drake is saying is true. You think Hov won't go in the interview and say, yeah, him?
I did that. Yeah, true.
No,
but
I'm gonna downplay. Nigga, I'm not thinking about him.
I think that Drake might have had a problem. I'm sorry, Mark. Might have had a problem with, because I'm like, where do these two even cross paths for the beef to? I do think that since their last collab, something took a major turn. I don't know what that is.
That shit was brewing before the last collab.
The NFL halftime deal between Live Nation and Roc Nation and all this shit. There's so many places that Hov could throw a.
He put his thumb on the scale. Like, even if Hov says I'm not thinking about Drake, right? Let's even assume that's true. Your mortal enemy, Kendrick, is in front of the world doing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl show, and you booked him for it.
And to me, I think that's the real reason why Drake really dissed Jay-Z this time, is because he sees it as he's lining himself up next to Kendrick Lamar. And I think that's the real reason too why Nicki Minaj started going off on Jay-Z. In my personal opinion, I think all of the smear tactics that Nicki tried to use and turn the barbs to spread all of these wild rumors and put out these fake ages about Beyonce and Aaliyah, who Jay-Z never was with, to kind of smear the dude. I think it's all backlash from OVO stands, Young Money, Cash Money stands, who were mad that Lil Wayne was not on that stage and Kendrick Lamar was. And they looked at it like Jay-Z was the one bigging them up. And because of that, they wanted to make Jay-Z pay. That's what I believe. I think that was really where I think things turned with Drake and Jay-Z, is because of the Kendrick Lamar factor, because they looked at it like, because you put him on the Super Bowl stage to play Not Like Us, I mean, you're the one that basically was responsible for blowing him up in that moment. And that's what I think Drake really takes exception to.
You weren't thinking about that. You should have been.
I'm a messy bitch, so I still believe I believe everything that Drake DM Johnny Blaze, and I still remember it. And in that was this Live Nation touring contract that I'm a slave in, and I absolutely hate.
I want to get right back on.
That's the only spot that I could, that I could think.
That plays a part, but I don't think that's as big as people make it out to be. But I think that adds to the ammo as to why Drake and I think Nicki Minaj have their animosity and hate towards Jay-Z.
Where it's like, okay, that's where it is.
That might be surface though.
That's probably a good enough reason to dislike somebody or have a beef or whatever.
Man, this shit could be cool. You don't know whole relationship with Dre. You don't know whole relationship with them. So even in shit like that, like again, the high five at the Grammys, like a lot of shit could just be all.
Here he go down this rabbit hole now.
One play. Like all right, enough. He's doing a lot. We got to teach.
Ice is always trying to go on some, far conspiracy theory, Illuminati type shit. Like, really, dude. Come on.
Him a lesson. Me, you control that. We gotta.
I don't believe that.
Come on,
all right,
counsel.
Why are you laughing, B-Dot?
Come on, man.
What?
That's like your tinfoil hat is on. You think that's really happening?
I don't.
Damn right, his tinfoil hat's on.
Look at that.
What do you think we're here to do?
That dude's Mr. Tinfoil Hat. Ice is the king of tinfoil. Seriously.
I definitely believe that.
We're here to put our tinfoil hats on.
B-Dot, you don't think shit like that can happen?
It can, but I don't think that
We gotta put our tinfoil hats on. Joe's funny, man.
that's happening with
This boy's
Jay-Z.
So
and Drake.
if the cash cow, the golden goose, is deciding to buck the system, how does the system teach him he's not bigger than a program?
in the case of Jay-Z and Drake,
I'm just asking to my question. The golden goose is deciding to buck the system.
okay.
How does the system put him in his place?
We gonna Willie Lynch his ass.
No,
We gonna
I
get
want
the-
B-Dot to answer that.
Pardon me.
And buck the system in what way? Because in the end of the day, they gave Drake what he wanted. He put out 3 albums in 1 week. And on top of that, they're allegedly letting him out of his deal. So what type? That's why it's like these guys are going way deep on this conspiracy shit. But to me, the whole thing about the blackball and they wanted to build up Kendrick Lamar to diminish Drake's value. Well, how did that work out now? The dude's got what, 40 songs on Billboard right now. Like he's got 15 songs in the top 20. On top of that, he broke Michael Jackson's record and he went #1 on Billboard with 460,000 sold. So how's that going to play in diminishing his value now? That's what I mean. Like, to me, it's like Drake stands and these Drake conspiracy theorists, they don't think the logic through. Like, they could only blackball them, but so much, because that ain't going to work now, because the dude literally can get double the deal he got that he signed with UMG or go independent. So where do you get this just Illuminati conspiracy weirdo shit that, oh yeah, just because Drake wanted to do this or Drake didn't like his deal, they're going to teach him a lesson just because of that? Like, come on, man. Like, really?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have the answer for you right now. But at the same time, when it comes to Drake, I don't think that people, like specifically Jay-Z, are stopping his motion because of this deal or whatever, like some back. I don't think that's happening.
That sounds like
Listen, no.
Jay got way bigger fish to fry than Drake, bro. Way bigger fish to fry. You know what I mean? Like I really don't think Drake is so out of sight, out of mind from Jay-Z. It's just, to Jay, he's out of sight, out of mind. Like they really want to pin it together. I'm gonna stop this video here because they're gonna go deep into conspiracy talk. But yeah, I mean, they're really trying to go off the deep end with a conspiracy talk, but I don't think Jay even worries about Drake, really. But what I will say is he'll listen to Drake if Drake is taking shots, because every shot that Drake is thrown, Jay's throwing a shot back. Which kind of gets back to the topic at hand about Drake and Jay-Z being on the same level. The only thing that I will say Drake has something to combat with Jay-Z is the sales, because he did outsell Jay-Z. That's the only thing you could say. Everything else is at least comparable. I mean, I'd say catalog, lyrics, timeless songs, awards and accolades, Jay washes him. You know what I mean? As far as, hits on the radio and the volume of hits, okay, I'll give it to Drake or whatever. But again, a lot of that comes out of streaming. And to me, in my opinion, I don't buy the streaming era. To me, it's so easy to get hit records now. And you don't have to work for hit records. You know what I mean? You just have to have a viral TikTok moment and a song's a hit. And Drake can literally do something corny on Instagram or be seen with a girl, and it's like, oh, by the way, I have a song out, and automatically that thing gets streamed like wildfire. It's a lot easier to get a hit today in the streaming era. And who's to say that the streaming era is legitimate? Like with all of the bot streaming, allegations, and which Drake has plenty of those. It's so easy to overstream a song, and Drake has whole groups of people saying, oh, let's all join in tonight and stream Iceman to #1. Play this song, 100 times tonight so Drake can get the #1 song on Billboard. Like, they actually do that. Jay-Z had none of that. Jay-Z had to do it where people actually went out, bought the CD, at one point bought cassettes, and bought the single. You know what I mean? Jay's streaming shit, he came in towards the end. Streaming era really took off, I would say, mid-2010s. And Jay-Z's last album was about mid-2010s. But see, I'll say one thing. If Jay comes out with another project, another new project, watch all of his old shit all stream like wildfire. You know what I mean? So to me, I think it's comparing apples to watermelons in the end of the day. And if you want to see Drake got the numbers, well, yeah, but those numbers are really questionable. Like, I'll make this analogy. Like, it's like comparing a baseball player, right? Like, I don't know, pick a player, Willie Mays, Reggie Jackson, who else? I'm not going to go back to Babe Ruth, but like Willie Mays and Reggie Jackson, and saying, well, Barry Bonds is better or Mark McGwire is better. But they're asterisks, whether you like it or not, they're asterisks next to their name because they all use steroids. They played in a steroid era where everybody, or 70% of the league, used steroids. So to me, it's inflated, and it's the same thing with the streaming era. And that's the reason why, like, to me, Jay-Z's hits, like Give It To Me, Run This Town, name another one, Ends in Paris with Kanye West, I think mean that much more because they did it when people actually bought albums as opposed to relied 100% on streaming, whether it's they bought it on iTunes, they went to the stores to buy it, or even bought vinyls or whatever. So in the end of the day, Jay's sales mean more than Drake's sales, if that makes any sense to me. But if you want to give Drake 1 point, all right, he outsold Jay-Z, whatever. You know what I mean? So to me, and if I had to say, like, on a GOAT list, Jay-Z's easily number one, at very worst, number two or 1A. I mean, me personally, I think Nas is the greatest artist of all time. But at very worst, Jay-Z is number two. Drake, and I think Jay-Z is a consensus number one, by the way. Drake, to me, after the battle, he's struggling to get in that top 10. He's struggling to get in the top 10. I could easily name 10 better than him all time in hip-hop history that's better than Drake. But the thing about it is Drake has such a stand base, and his era is so watered down when it comes to real impactful artists outside of Kendrick Lamar and maybe J. Cole. People elevate Jay-Z to being better than what he really is. So Drake, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see how they're on the same level at all. You know what I mean? But you tell me. You tell me what's going to go on. So is Drake and Jay-Z going to go at it this summer? Are they really going to go mano a mano, battle song, subliminal disc for subliminal disc? Because they're the king of subliminals, both of them. I could see some shots being thrown back and forth. I could see that. And I can see Jay-Z coming back. But it's going to be a clash of hip-hop ideologies, a clash of eras. It's going to be that 90s, 2000s era versus the 2010s and 2020s era. I could see a lot of the fan bases clashing with each other over this. And it's an interesting debate, because is this the real battle? And was Kendrick and Drake really the warm-up to the real battle, which is the kings of their respected eras, or so-called kings, because I still think Kendrick Lamar is a king of the 2010s. But anyway, the alleged king in Drake going against the certified king of his era, which is Jay-Z. I don't know. You tell me in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Jay-Z versus Drake. You think it's going to go down? Is it going to go down this summer? And what do you think? Do you think Drake is on the same level and can sit at the same table as Jay-Z on any type of level? You let me know. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I will come back with some new content later on this weekend. All right? Peace.